I have here, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So I have on the left side, I have Einstein, and then I have here, this is a window inside Einstein, and it contains source code, Newton script code, and you just press run, and it installs, it compiles the code and installs it and runs it right away on Einstein. So
very cool.
That is the one part.
Nice.
So the part how to get to this is, yeah, you can of course type this all in and go and like write your own code. But this code was generated by taking a package file and decompiling it. And the decompiled package generates the code here on the right. And it generates, yeah, readable code. So you can say, oh, okay, this is the copyright that's in there, this is the name of the package, and so on. And then you can go and do changes and say, okay, when I run this app, it says up here square, and I want to change that to German, for example. Now I have to go through the source code, find the place where it says square, and I change it into Rechteck. Rechteck. I press play again, and then it says Rechteck.
Wow, this is so cool.
So I took an existing package and just changed it.
So let me ask you a stupid question. So by this mechanism, you technically could take any application, make kind of modification, and make that app again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, this is it. This is the one of the bridges I was hoping that would emerge. Okay, so you effectively, you know, as you say, you're just making small changes to something that's already reasonably well structured.
Yeah.
And then therefore you get to where you need to get to really quickly, and actually build up your expertise as you're going along.
Let's say you have an existing app, you don't have the source code anymore, and it does get the date wrong because we don't have the Y10K bug or something. You can find that place and fix it. Or
wow, this is so cool.
Stuff like that.
Okay, so Matthias, another silly question. So technically, if we have some very valuable app done by someone who just dropped it years ago, but that app, for example, have a kind of restriction in terms of registration, so it's impossible to register again that app, but we wish to still use that. Can we just fix that and, for example, make a registered version or something like this? I know it's not morally completely clear, but sometimes we had, for example, we had that situation with the dashboard. Now it's fine because the author managed to find the source code and he prepared the normal version. But for example, if someone lost the source code and cannot, you know, decrypt the code or something, is it possible to use that mechanism also to solve that kind of problem?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
This is what I'm working on right now. Is I have you guys know about ViewFrame, and one of the functions of ViewFrame is, you know, here what I showed you, the source code has the Newton bytecode in it, so it's not, you can't read the source yet. But I'm trying to hook into ViewFrame and get ViewFrame to translate it and decompile it, and then we actually really have exactly Newton script readable, easily readable bytecode. So that would be the perfect solution. Part of this is ViewFrame does not run on Newt 64. I have to fix that, but I integrated everything here into Einstein in the hopes that I can then get into to the point where I can run the app and single step through it and find the problems, find the bugs. So it's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. But yes, we can hopefully get around some of the licensing stuff for abandonware, and yeah, that's the idea.
Nice.
Very nice.
This is
all right,
really
folks,
cool.
I've got to run. Got some things to take care of today.
Yeah. Okay. See you on Thursday.
Yeah, good to see everyone, man.
Yeah. Good to see you next time.
See ya.
couple of weeks we'll have another.
I'll appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the link, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I assume I'm late then. When did you start with the meeting?
2 hours ago.
Ah, awesome.
So just sorry, before you so what do I need then in order to to start playing with what you've just done now? Is it already ready, or do I need to upgrade what you've sent?
No, well, it will be a new version of Einstein coming out in probably 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
That includes all this in a drag and drop fashion, so you can just basically, I hope that's one of the plans, to either drop a package on it or import a package, and it then generates everything you need. Right now, it's all still very fixed and rough, and uses would only run on my computer, which is pretty boring.
Right. Okay.
Because also it means that if I had some data sitting elsewhere and I wanted to bring it into the application, I could just almost do a structured copy and paste into what you've just done there, and then just build and then push it through your system again. It's an easy way of getting data in and out of the environment, isn't it?
Well, right now it really only deals with package files.
Right, but if you've got constants, if those constants in the package file get displayed in a certain way, if you just change those constants, then it's a poor man's way of getting data in and out. But it would, like, for example, I'll give you a good one: a shopping list, for example, right?
Okay.
It doesn't change very often, but it changes, let's say once a week. That would be an easy way then of just saying, displaying my shopping list on Einstein effectively. Okay.
Oh, okay. No, well, this really just you see the content of the package file. It doesn't take care of anything in the store or in any soup stuff. It really is just the.
I'll try and track it down. There is a shopping list package for the Newton. So I'll track it down and see if we can look at its entrails, because it may actually then say, if you put this information in over here, then it will then just display it.
I can look at that. I mean, something that's maybe similar. Let me do some screen sharing again.
It's because I notice quite a lot of the applications running, typically work on that. They have very, very simple data, but most of the sophistication is on how they actually display it and work with it. But they store the data in a relatively static area. So it's a bit like where you had you changed square to deck. Okay, it's the same idea.
Well, what you can do in the new version of Einstein, at least with the US ROM, is when there's text displayed and you can select it, and then you move it up to the corner, and that it copies it into the clipboard. So if you go into a different app, say my development app here, and I press paste, then the word's over there.
Yeah.
So it uses the clipboard.
Very nice.
So anything that's selectable, you can copy over.
Matthias, is it possible to do this in a opposite way? Like, can I
Not
copy
yet.
that? All right, okay.
But I'm working on that. The thing is, I'm heavily patching the ROM and changing ROM data around, and I tried to get it running on the eMate, but the eMate seems to do a lot of things a little bit different, and I couldn't get it to run. But at some point, it will run in both directions. Yeah.
So you're saying where you change square to the German equivalent, okay? You couldn't have pasted in your German equivalent at that point.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different thing, but it's well, you have the package is just what on other platforms or programs or apps. So I can change what the app does and the texts inside the app, but I can't change the data. I can't change what's in your soups or what you enter when you enter a shopping list.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's a different thing. I'm pretty sure we could read out the soups too, and make them visible or copyable.
You can imagine if you just had a, you know, if you just had a user interface, then you just had a list of, you know, square so it filled that is effectively the data. Okay, it is a data. It's hard.
But I think on Newton there is a existing kind of software that you can edit or at least manage with the soaps.
Yeah, I agree. But
yeah,
until Matthias finishes his support for the soups, it's a very, very poor man's database at the moment. Okay. Yeah, because you're showing the sort of thing that would have got the early PC users, okay, really, really excited. Okay? And so to me, it's the same because you know I could throw away I've got a very poor shopping application moment, and I thought but I can quite easily pull out my Newton-based one, okay, turn it into compile it in the way that you showed me, and I could then really just replace all the static, and then that then becomes my shopping application.
Oh, okay.
That's the idea, and it doesn't change very often. So you know, and then when the soups comes in, then that would be the smartest way of them making work, because every time I update the soup, it would then be reflected in the new application. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I understand better now what it is that you wrote the other day, because I thought you were you'd done what you'd done, but I thought I'd just misunderstood it. But in fact, I did understand it better than I thought I had. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's super geeky stuff and difficult to write down and even more difficult to understand. Plus, when I write this stuff, I'm usually in the train of thought already, so I'm probably missing out a lot of details.
Because in fact, I saw it just after I'd seen another article, and I forgot which company is doing it, but they're translating between JavaScript and Python and C, I think it is.
Yeah.
Because they've realized that it's too hard to be able to programming all three at the same time. Okay. So what they're saying is that if you bought a program which just translates from, you know, you choose your favorite language, and it actually translates the other ones into that, and then you then have to then make sense of it. But still you're, you know, that's less of a learning curve. And then so when I saw yours, I thought, okay, if I got hold of that tool, okay, probably train it to go from, you know, Newton script to whatever that way. There are lots and lots of bridges that appear to be popping up soon.
Well, their entire language is implemented like that. So in the beginning, C++, the language, was actually implemented by a program translating the new C++ standard into the old C language and then just compiling it. Or in Java, in JavaScript, there's similar things. There are dialects of JavaScript that is just translated into regular Java. And you can do crazy things.
No, I can see the need because on that. Okay.
Oh, it was great. I learned a lot about Lex and Yak, which are two programs that interpret or read a language, read your source code and generate the bytecode. And I did some changes in Newt 64, and it was really cool to learn that stuff. Usually I would not get to learn anything like that anymore.
And all of this will run in the macOS environment relatively easy. It's not dependent on Catalina or
No. It's I think Newt 64 starts with or runs with starting OS X 10.6. So yeah, no problem. Okay. And I think on the other platforms also, I think Windows 8 and Linux in general is no problem.
Right. Okay.
This stuff right now, what I'm working on to integrate Newt into Einstein, that so you can have this user interface that I just banged together, but that you can decompile a package by really just drag and dropping it in. Otherwise, you have to type in certain commands, and I don't want to do that to you guys. And it will definitely be on macOS X first. The other platforms I have to see. It's always a little bit more involved.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit stunned that the mail said UTC time, and so I did the 2-hour offset. So I'm a little bit surprised you guys already added for 2 hours.
Yeah, but you said 5 o'clock. You see.
Am I? Oh my God, you're right. No way.
I normally have to add 2 hours, so it's 7 o'clock for me.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I was I looked at the end time, not the start time.
Yeah.
How many people were in the meeting?
It's roughly, I mean, at any particular moment, it's about 4 or 5.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so as one finishes, the other one, another person arrives, effectively. Okay?
Yep.
But because the previous one was only 2 weeks ago, it you know,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting any more than that, okay? Because I thought a monthly cadence would be sufficient, to have like 10, 15 people or something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as I say, be your announcement and a couple of announcements. There's enough material for us to talk about.
Exactly.
And the other topic that was also announced earlier this week is that Apple is due to announce the timetable for the ARM-based. So I mean, I've got no idea what that means from a Catalina Mojave or Newt 64. I mean, will it make any difference at all, or will they automatically just? What was the name of that layer that was? Because I remember Steve Jobs announced something ages ago where he went from a PowerPC to Intel, and you had was it Rosetta or something?
Yeah, Rosetta.
Oh, yeah.
A way of basically saying, don't worry about it, we'll give you a layer that will run on, so, we'll dig up the road underneath your feet, but you'll still see your standard pavement. So you'll always...
The thing, though, is that Rosetta got kicked out after 4 years, and then if you hadn't changed. And what they're doing right now with Catalina is that they don't allow 32-bit software anymore. And usually that's no problem. But with emulators like Newt 64, this was terrible. I had to go through every line of code and make sure it would run with 64 bits because it was relying on the fact that you could just take pointers in Newton script and just copy them over to the operating system you were fine. And this was no longer true. So that was quite painful. And so when you're programming emulators, all these things are really tragical. So when we go to ARM, I don't think that has an impact on Einstein or Newt or any of those, because they're written very carefully in a way that doesn't care what the processor is that's below.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
But still, I mean, as you see with Newton script code, you still have to find the source code. And if you lost the source code, your software just won't run anymore.
Yeah. I agree. But that's where the UNIS system is helps us to some extent, because that's sitting in package format, and with your approach, we can we're not too far away from the source code. That's good. Right.
Well, let's see what comes out of it. I mean, I haven't seen any new Newton apps since the conference, and but I'll see, one or two things might get resurrected or changed, but I don't expect revolution.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's I'm going around. I'm looking into Unit at the moment to try and pull out the examples of how to start coding and on that, okay, because to me that's what's required in order to start. You have to start off with little things, okay, and then they, and I know they existed for Newton, because I remember when I first got the Newton, I was toyed with the idea of programming, but I didn't do it, and so therefore I didn't collect any of that. So I'm hoping to do that, and so if this thing works in my Mac for the next 5-10 years, that to me is quite good, okay, because quite a lot of personal program, if you like, or personal things could be done just using the Newt, okay. So the other thing I also mentioned, Matthias, I don't know whether you saw it, is that as the Apple, and now there is a rumor that Apple are going to provide a pen support on the iPhone 12.
Oh, cool.
And so therefore, if you have Einstein running on that with the pen support, then then the only thing, it puts more pressure on being able to interface Einstein with the rest of the environment, okay. But just using it as a pen-driven device, okay, looks quite attractive. And I may actually say, for the first time in 4 years, actually think about buying a new iPhone if I could get pen support on it, because it would just about coax me into my because you're showing me your Android. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's the Note 10. It comes with a built-in pen, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's lacking. I mean, it's fun. It doesn't have, as you said earlier, it doesn't have the synchronization. So I can write in dates and appointments and stuff, but I can't really sync it with anything. So it's more like a novelty than actually a calendar I could really use.
Yeah. But I mean, so I have a to-do program, okay, and I specify my categories, okay, and it automatically then sequences the categories, okay, and then it creates a to-do. So there's an application called To Do that runs on Android, and I then using the synchronization between iCloud, okay, and that means that whether I'm on the Mac or I can see that application, but it won't interface to the Apple Notes application, which I think is really nice, okay, and because Apple basically and they don't even support easily a cut and paste type arrangement. So to me,
okay,
I would use my To Do List application, and that would be my first package application under Einstein, because then because all it's got to do is just show me, and then whenever I make changes, I would then pull it and run it through my program, and then wherever I am, I'm looking at the same list. So and that's really hard in the Apple environment. But I didn't find the equivalent of the Apple Notes program in the Android. And that's one of the reasons why I came off of Android, because it wasn't really supporting the way I wanted to work effectively.
Well, I mean, this is one of the conundrums with the Newton, that when I look at my apps on my Android, probably all of them but 4 connect regularly to the internet, use the cloud, and the one that doesn't is a card game, and even that wants to publish the high score at some point. So with the message pad notoriously having problems connecting to the internet in a nice way, it's all very limited. And what Einstein could do, or generally the emulator could do to make it easier to get a good internet connection, and that's halfway done. But then you still need the apps that actually use it, because just because I want to sync a to-do list, if it opens the slip saying, do you want to connect with the modem, or do you want that doesn't really help. It has to go on in the background. and yeah, people
or
actually
it's
have
not,
to write that because it doesn't exist yet. So
or it's relatively static information that only needs to be refreshed on a on a daily basis or something like that. And there's quite a lot of applications that you can run. As I say, shopping list is a good one, is a strong typical one. Okay, and even my business to dos don't change that much. Okay, they need to be sequenced in the right order, but the actual content doesn't change that because most projects fail and slip, and so I think to me there's a lot of potential here. Okay, and if I don't have to, I then become less dependent on the Apple, because Apple, I still find that you can get used to an app and then suddenly they don't support the next release. Okay, I've got what's a good one? Someone I like Sudoku. I do, and I've had to change Sudoku several times because the best one suddenly just stops working. And you can live with that. Okay, but I find that Apple's inability to provide back level support is becoming more and more of a problem. Whereas Windows actually does have good back level support, but they've got a rubbish, handheld device support.
Yeah. Pavel, can I ask you? I missed that part about the Bluetooth connection. What's the status on that? Sounds cool.
All right, so I'm gonna roughly show you. We just managed to connect eMate with that Bluetooth.
Cool. Yeah, I don't want to bore everyone else, so don't go into detail.
I'm going to take just a little break. We're back in a minute.
Yeah. So we just use the HC05 module.
Yeah.
So just directly connected to the serial port and powering, and we just managed to run on the with the kind of Mac and with the eMate. Yeah. So
cool.
It's working. The only thing we need to change that was the speed of the communication, because the standard one is 9600. It's like a standard communication, but for NCX you need to have that 3800 something. Yeah. So that was the only change by AT command on the module, because module can work. You can directly connect to any terminal and you can send AT commands. So we managed to change the name of the Bluetooth module and just change the speed of communication, and it's working. So basically you don't need any software. You need only NCX, that module connected. So now we're trying to pack it up in the old Apple Newton modem, that external one, the black box, because I have 10 of them or something like this.
Oh, cool.
Nice. I think everybody have a few of them. If someone don't have it, I'm happy to donate. They are brick now.
So are you able to do the programming of the module from the Newton using PT100? Or some other, nice.
Technically you can do this, because if you connect by serial module, you can use any terminal on Newton to change the parameters. But I see no reason to change. At least you want to change the name of the module. I don't know, rename it or something. So basically at the beginning you need to change only speed, and eventually the name of the Bluetooth module, if you wanna, because the module show out like a BC04, something like this, so telling nothing. So you can name it, I don't know, Newton Bluetooth or something like this. So this is what you need to do once, and that's all. And the module working really nice. The communication speed obviously is not very fast because it's a serial connector, but it's the same like you're syncing normal serial with the Newton. The good thing is you can connect. Technically, I didn't test it yet with, for example, Newton 100 or something like this, but I see no reason why that shouldn't work. Because it's a serial port emulation, so Newton don't know that. Newton think it's a cable connection. That's all. So and from the other side, from the Mac side, it doesn't matter because Bluetooth emulates the serial port. Yeah. So yeah.
What you get is with these modules is that sometimes they package the data differently. So let's say the host sends 10 bytes, 5 bytes, 10 bytes. And the Bluetooth module may, after 3 bytes already, decide to send them on and not take the same timing and the same pause, which is for the Newton, we already have the problem that connecting to a Windows machine, the data comes too fast. So we have this stupid slowdown.exe.
All right. Okay. I didn't test it with Windows yet because I have we don't have something like NCX. So at this moment we just test it with Mac and with NCX. So that was actually my question to you. Yeah. If there is any method to, for example, try to connect this with I don't know, maybe Basilisk and emulation the software, the original software in Basilisk on Windows. What do you think?
Yeah, that should work. Basilisk on all platforms support a regular serial port.
Right.
So you can use a cable or your bridge solution. But that's what the timing was a reason why I suggested the ESP.
Right.
You can be programmed to do exactly what this Bluetooth module is doing.
Yeah.
And it additionally has the ability to look into the data, understand the data, not just bridge it, and then insert timings and insert those breaks that may be needed, so we don't need slowdown anymore if we ever get
all right. Okay. Yeah, I'm like I said, that module I'm using is very simple, and I don't need any you know special knowledge to run it. Yeah. But I saw Jake that answer on that topic, and Jake told us that he ordered a few that is SPA modules, and he wants to play with this because yeah, that could be cool. But it's a more sophisticated. It's not for me because you need to know how to program the module first of all. Yeah.
Yeah, so, Jake definitely has the knowledge.
Yeah, he know how to do this. So I think this is kind of basic start, and I wish to just play, and it's working. So
that's awesome. It's great.
Yeah. So I think everybody will be able to buy that module and do it on their own, because you don't need basically what you need. It's a serial terminal, and change the speed of this module. That's all. Yeah. The connection, the speed of the connection. Yeah, so that's all you need to do. So any person can do that. But I think Jake, if he will find more time, I think he will be able to deliver much more sophisticated device. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I prefer a device that we can get right now versus something that we could theoretically build.
Everything. Yeah. We just had a chat about this. Yeah. That possibilities are now are great. Yeah. But usually people don't have a time or don't have a knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
On both, like me.
Well, you obviously had the time to do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but for me, it's like for person who know how to do this and understand this, it's like a 5 minutes. I spent a few days to solve the problem, how to put that module in a AT command.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it here because that was crazy. Yeah. So
3-second break plus 3-second break.
Yeah, I don't know. No, you need to put one pin on the module on high state. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we just discovered that. Actually, I discovered that by accident. Yeah. So yeah,
okay.
That was cool.
I mean, the consolation is that all when people get really quick with this stuff, they've made those mistakes all before and paid already their due. So
yeah. So yeah, it's working like that. Yeah, but I think that kind of connection will be really cool for people who just starting with the Newtons, or they have empty newtons, because the big advantage of this is you don't need any extra software on Newton side and on the computer side. Yeah, just NCX and voila, it's working. So you can easily, you know, put a basic stuff like a Wi-Fi driver or a patch to the system, etc., without any extra installation, which was impossible with that USB module. If you know that you can install inside of the new Newton 2000, yeah, because that module need kind of package with the driver or something inside of the Newton, yeah. So that was problematic, because anyway, before you start using that USB converter, you need to install some software. So that was not really good, yeah.
Yeah, you got the hen and egg problem that you can't get software on it, but you need software to make the module run.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was the problem. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a trick that if you tell the sync to run with the modem, but yeah, it's yeah.
that module basically acting like a cable, yeah. From the Newton side, it's like a cable. So that's all, yeah. And we just managed to install on that eMate a lot of software, and we never get any drop. I mean, a lot of we just transfer in total 1 megabyte of data, yeah, in packages, yeah. But for Newton, it's a quite high amount of data.
Huge.
And we yeah, huge, yeah, huge. And we never lost the connection. So the connection on that module is quite stable. Yeah,
nice.
it's not bad. Yeah. The another thing I just thought about, guys. Do you know what is it?
Serial box? No.
Yeah, they sell it for as for the schools with the eMates. So basically, here you have a serial port with the powering, and here you have two inputs, input port 1 and port 2 for external sensors like temperature or something. And
cool.
And there was, with this box, they sell the software called eProbe. It's on UNNA, and we managed to listen that device, and what turns out that this device sent the text data over the open text data over the serial port, yeah. So this is another project for me and my friend, actually for him, because he doing the stuff. He have a plan to take some kind of simple thing like Arduino and connect a few things and emulate that box and send to the software. So we don't need to write the software, because software exists, yeah. So that will be another thing. So you will be able to measure something like, you know, temperature, pressure, humidity, like a, you know, small weather station on Newton, yeah. That's cool.
Where do you find all that hardware stuff? I'm amazed.
eBay. eBay. I bought it on eBay. So so I'm gonna send that box to my friend, because he's from Poland, and he will just listen and check how it's working, yeah. Because inside you have very simple board. Actually, I open it and there's a few microchips, like a very old microchips, yeah. So
well.
I think Arduino is more complicated than this, yeah. So yeah, it's really cool, yeah. So yeah, again without you know, creating additional software, you will be able to, you know, play a little more with the Newton, yeah. The shame is that the software working only with eMate. I don't know why. So,
well, maybe we can find out when we disassemble the package and look at it.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe there is a kind of, you know, loop checking what kind of Newton is it, yeah. And when we delete it or we just emulate that, yeah, it's eMate, shut up, yeah. So then maybe that software will start work, yeah. Because, you know, the resolution of eMate is the same like Newton 2000, yeah. It's only, you know, landscape instead portrait, yeah, but it's not a problem, yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, cool.
I have a question for you. The Simon Bell software, and is it NCX?
Yeah.
Does NCX communicate with Einstein at all?
I don't know.
The reason I ask is because I think NCX is not just doing the connection; it's also adding some extra stuff like doing screenshots and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay? So I just wondered whether if there was a way of making. I mean, I'd imagine that you and Simon Bell haven't talked as yet about.
No, we have talked a few times. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, but not since your latest enhancements, okay? Because
yeah,
for me, if I've got NCX for the real Newton, okay, on the Mac, and I've got your environment, the Einstein running, then there should be a way of the two of them communicating, and even to the extent where I could take the NCX package.
Yeah, what should work, I think, but I haven't tried it. I know that NCX supports connection over network. So not only serial port, but also network. And then if on Einstein you install the entire network stuff, and yeah, make the connection over network connection tools, NCT, then that should probably work. I don't know if my bridging of the serial port, I just once threw the apps together and tried it once. I never looked into why it didn't work, but back then it didn't spontaneously work. But it could have been.
I'll send them, I'll pose a question to him to see whether he had a chance to look at your environment to see whether what would be a natural synergy between the two. Okay.
I think it's probably 2 lines of code that he has to change, because I saw that he supports network already, and that's what I'm doing when I emulate the serial port. I'm pretending to be a network. So that might already be what needs to be done. I don't know if that's all there is, or what if he wants to look at it.
Right. Okay.
What's cool is he published the source code. That's really awesome. And it would be really cool, but I think it's a lot of work to write a cross-platform version of it, so it runs on Linux and Windows as well.
Yeah, I imagine. No, it's to me it's a Mac OS and the.
But I know he won't do it, so.
Yeah. And because I think Paul was saying earlier that there was looking for a way of emulating Basilisk under Windows. Okay. Is there a way of running Basilisk in a Docker and then therefore they're running the Docker environment under Windows and therefore doing it that way?
A dock environment? I don't know what that is.
There's some technology called Docker, which is where if you have to run, well, the way it works is this, is that if I have an application running on the platform A, but I'm on platform B, I need the functionality in platform A. You can virtualize that platform in a container, and all of the operating systems now all run the container management system called Docker, it's called.
Okay.
And so on the Mac, you can either use Parallels or to run the container, and then you just send the command across the network, except it's not going across the network. It's just using IP between the two containers. And so if you've got Basilisk working as a support environment for the IP connected Einstein,
well, that's already. I'm not sure what you're asking, but
if we can't get NTK to work on Windows, because it doesn't have serial support, we can run something that understands serial support under Windows in the container that came from the Mac environment.
I mean, Basilisk runs natively on Windows, and you can run NTK inside Basilisk. That works, no problem. And then you can
Windows
switch.
10? On Windows 10?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then you can set the serial port emulation either to a physical serial port and connect to a physical device. I haven't tried that, but it should work. or you can use the Einstein serial port emulation over TCP/IP, and then connect to Einstein. That works, and you don't have to be on the same machine. I mean, you can connect with the serial port emulation to Basilisk running on your Windows machine while you have Einstein running on your Android phone. As long as they're in the same network, it's no problem.
Okay. Okay. So really, so what you were describing earlier, then, Paul, we can do today with the Windows. We can solve that problem in the Windows using just Basilisk, as you were saying.
So okay, so Matthias, if I install Basilisk on a window, and in this I'm gonna run Newton connection utility, yeah, NCU. Can I connect, if I have physical serial port on my PC, can I connect Newton to that NCU without, let's say, any problem?
I know that Basilisk implements that. It's in the source code, and it advertises it. I haven't never tried if it works,
okay.
but I assume so.
Right, okay.
Worth trying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna show you something.
The only thing is then the NCU data, of course, you have in the Basilisk environment. You still don't have it on your Windows machine, really.
Right.
Right.
Guys,
although does Basilisk do shared folders with Windows like it does on Unix and Mac? That's good.
Yes.
I'm gonna show you this. NCX and the Einstein, and I managed to connect, but I'm not sure if still fetching the data from Einstein.
Okay.
But here you can see the dock. So technically Einstein connect with NCX on my Mac.
Nice.
But I'm not sure if it's stuck or something. I'm gonna kill now.
Yes,
NCX.
if you can go to NCX and then do a screen dump, a screenshot of your.
Yeah. But I'm using TCP/IP because the serial is not working. So I'm using TCP/IP, and the IP is my Mac, and I'm leaving the standard port. But I'm going back to NCX again. So I'm trying to connect.
I know that with the network simulation or the emulation, there are definitely still bugs in there. And I'm working on that, and it sometimes drops a few bytes, and that can, of course, be already enough for this to lock up.
Okay. Right. So like you see,
time ago.
So like you see on the Einstein, there is a dock, so the technically connection is made, but Newton connection don't show up. The rest of the options, like should show me the Newton, the everything. So
I should look at that.
Something missing, but I think it's definitely possible, to connect Einstein with the NCX on the one machine, And maybe, I don't know, maybe because I tried before, with the serial port, but it's not working,
But this is an old. This is the Paul Guyot version of Einstein, right? That doesn't have the serial port emulation.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
It's to use the Matthias's version.
Right. So I need to. Yeah, I have a problem because I have a new computer with Mojave on this, and I cannot read neither Einstein on Basilisk because I don't know why. Because here on this computer, I have a still High Sierra only. So on this computer everything's working fine, but I cannot run Basilisk on. I need to check why. Because I tried to compile the new version, and I saw your answer, Matthias, that I need to install kind of libraries. Yeah. So I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
But so I think it's possible, like you see, but something missing with the NCX. So
So Matthias, remind me, how do I get Einstein running on the iPhone today?
Oh.
It's impossible.
Is that
no.
An exact question?
There's a short version and a long version.
Okay.
The short version is I'm sorry, it's not within my power.
Okay.
The old or the current version thread that Paul Guyot checked in, and the source code, you have to compile from source code. You have to buy a developer account or get a free developer account.
Okay.
And if you get a free developer account, you can only compile it so it works for a week. And then you have to recompile it and put it on your phone again every week. And if you buy a developer account from Apple, you can have it constantly on your iPhone, but you still cannot give it to anyone else.
So how was it? Was it Marissa?
Yeah.
So I did something, again, could be a good year or two ago, where she announced something and I then sent her my details. And then I then did something and then it arrived on my, I put it on the tablet and, for example, okay? So she must have given me access to...
She might have used test flight or something.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
I recognize it.
Marissa did is in a time where Apple was much less restrictive, and you could register as a business and say, oh, I want 100 installations for people in my business.
Okay.
They disabled that. You can't do that anymore. And so there is hacks like this test flight and other hacks that you can use. But basically what they do is they also recompile your software every week and put it on your phone again and again and again. And
okay, so there isn't a solution for if I want to put my iPhone today, I really have to become a formal Apple developer effectively to get the. That used to be $100 or something.
Yep.
Yeah, every year.
Oh wow.
Well, they're 1.5 trillion worth. I mean, it's got to come from someone.
Wow. So when they said it was possible they were going to make it easier for developers, weekend developers or something like that. They removed some restriction, didn't they? I thought to make it easier to put code or develop code for the iPhone. That it still requires this sting effectively. Because to me, it's that's if you're only going to put one or two applications or build one or two applications, that's quite a lot. If you're trying to make it available to the rest of the world, I agree. $100 is like
nothing.
Yeah, if you could give it on. The problem is when you pay the $100 to become a developer, you still have to get the approval from Apple that you can put the app in the App Store. And the App Store has restrictions, and one of the first restrictions is no emulators. And the second restriction is no Apple products. And the third restriction is nothing that copies an Apple product. So we fail all three of them. Unless someone really says, okay, you get a little crown over your head, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. So really what we're talking about then is using Einstein, developing Einstein for the Mac, okay, or using a non-iPhone like Android effectively.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So even if they arrive later on in the year with the ability for pen support.
Yeah, then you have to see if Marissa's version still works. But of course, the features that I'm adding, I can't put into her version because I can't access her code. And even though I'm usually programming on macOS, the whole iOS thing has really gone over my head. And as you said earlier, you have apps that suddenly vanish and no longer run on your new phone. That is one of the problems. This is one of the reasons why I stopped developing for iOS. It's just
it's crazy. Can I show you something, Matthias?
Sure.
I found something like this. Did you saw that?
Yeah, there are ways around. I honestly just don't have the time to look at all this.
Because basically what you can do, you can take the iOS app, you can load up to this program, and if you have your even private account, you can re-sign the app as you. So for example, even if when you generate the application, and that application will be only for you because it's related to your developer account, I can re-sign that application and that will work. So it's a kind of, you know, partially a tiny solution for that, but still, if you want to use the app, you need to have that developer, even private developer account. And I'm not sure if that application bypass the 1 week restriction for the for the they call it, how they call it? It's
side loading.
No. It's not passport. It's.
I think they do kind of a when you sync your phone, they automatically re-upload it with the new week.
Oh,
so
right. Okay.
As long as you sync once a week, it will continuously re-upload your app.
Right. Okay. So maybe this is kind of, you know, partially solution. Yeah. Yeah. I tested with one application and it's work. Yeah. So.
Oh, cool.
And I even managed to compile the older version of Einstein for my iPad, but something wrong because I stuck on the booting screen. I cannot, you know, get over that.
Yeah.
The app was compiled without any errors, and I successfully built the application, but I know something wrong, and I couldn't pass the booting screen. Yeah.
Well, by now the problem that I see is that I've done a lot of bug fixes and changes, and I never bothered to verify that they work on the iOS version as well.
Yeah.
So we will need to get an iOS developer at some point on board if we want to continue with that, who goes through my changes and says, oh, I can transfer that to iOS. For example, the whole serial port emulation uses obviously networking calls that are not in the original iOS version. So someone would have to sit down and write that.
I think it's pointless a little because Apple is anyway very restrictive with the communication protocols, etc., etc. So what's the point to have an Einstein on device when you, for example, cannot exchange the data with anything and anyone? So it's a little like a toy, you know, or you can just take the pen and, you know, take the pen and click on the screen. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, because you cannot even physically upload the packages. I mean, you can, but you need to connect by iTunes, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
problem,
really on purpose.
If you can do it through iTunes, to me it's an irritation, but it's not a, you know, it's not a roadblock effectively. Okay, whereas what we were talking about earlier, that is a serious roadblock.
But obviously you don't have a very easy method to exchange the data. Yeah. So this is the problem. Yeah. Like you, Ron, you can edit something on this, but you cannot export easily that data. Yeah. Somehow.
No, understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so really Android in a Mac environment is really the easiest route today.
Yeah, it's weird, but it is.
Choosing Android, because I mean, I've had, as I said, I'm not a great fan of Samsung and Huawei.
Me too.
Well, you got to choose one evil.
Yeah.
Well, all we have is called Apple.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the lesser of two evils, I think is what it
Yeah.
Okay, but you've chosen Samsung effectively what you showed me earlier. That was a Samsung 10.
Yeah, that's the choice was pretty easy when the Samsung Note came out. It was pretty much the only phone that had a pen, an active pen. There were other phones that had pens, but they were just not up to par. And I've had a lot of the Note series phones, but they're super expensive and they have a lot of stuff on them that I really don't need. But it's a hobby.
Okay, so the 10 is what I think when it came out, it was been about $1,000, something like that, 1,100.
Yeah, it was 1,200 in the beginning or 1,000, but then again, the Apple phones are not any cheaper either.
No, but if it works for a 10, then you can get a 10 now probably for 800-900, something like that.
Yeah, but I think you can get a Note 7 probably for 400.
Yeah, but the problem you have is the security, security updates. They stop them. Samsung stops them after a certain period. I think it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they force you into a new phone. So, yeah.
Business.
Okay. This is why pen and paper is still very, very attractive.
But what is that compatible with?
Papyrus? Oh dear. Okay.
All right, you guys. I kept you going for another hour. Thank you for sticking with me. Sorry I was too late.
No problem. Thanks for joining us.
No. In fact, for your, we touched on the iPhone Einstein. I think that's quite a significant discussion. I've forgotten. I keep forgetting about that actually.
Well, it's just one thing that is crazy, and I don't want to make you think this is going to happen or around the corner, but Newt 64 or Newt generally runs normal packages. It just doesn't, there's no implementation of the graphic user interface. So theoretically, if someone were to implement the Windows system behind it, then you could run apps or run packages without using Einstein at all. And then it would no longer be an emulator. It would no longer use Apple software. And it would probably be even possible to put it in the App Store. But it would be only one package, one app. So you don't have the Newton OS experience. You only have one app that would run. And I haven't found a single app where I'd say, "Oh, that's worth the effort." It's like this. There's a Apple Classic emulator that does a very similar thing.
Right. So dashboard itself, as a package, would that?
Yeah, but then you only have the dashboard. You can't call any other apps. You know, you would be limited to one single app. And that would be kind of boring. But that's the intention of the App Store, the Apple App Store, unfortunately. And we can't get around it unless someone really knows someone at Apple high up who says, "Oh, this is all fun. Let them do it." But I very much doubt that.
Yeah.
That's like on the same level as getting the source code of the ROM.
Right.
Because before you arrived, we talked about the jailbroken iPhone as well.
Oh, okay.
I actually did. I think it was the iPhone 3. I did play around with the jailbroken one, but I just found that lots and lots of it started eating up my time trying to make sure that the security updates worked okay, so I started moving away from that. It's quite a nice experiment, but it wasn't my idea to spend 4 hours a week trying to manage that. Okay, and but presumably, if would a jailbroken iPhone with Einstein have the issue you talked about?
I think that would work. Yeah.
So that would be the way to do it then, is it? To first get an iPhone at the right level that's jailbroken, and then use the jailbroken Cydia, I think it's called, to put the app onto it.
Yes. Yeah. Right. I remember. Are those things still around?
Yeah.
Really an iPhone 3 thing. Yeah.
In fact, the what is it? The iOS 13 just before they released the latest iOS 13. They forgot about the jailbroken or whatever they need to do. And so there is a version of iOS 13, which can now run on jailbroken. And so Apple has just pushed out the new version of iOS 13, okay, which basically closes the door again. But it's not bad to have a jailbroken iOS 13.
Oh, I bet. I mean, the time that is spent in humanity to fight.
Because normally they have to spend 6 months or something like that, ridiculous amount of time, trying to find out how to get through. And but they were given this maybe it was parts of Apple's attempt to make life easier during the lockdown. Yes, that app to me would be quite a good solution. But that would require you to actually, or for somebody like me to send you an iPhone with a jailbroken iOS on it.
Yeah. Well, I think I still have a device laying around here. I have to ask my wife, do you mind if I jailbreak your phone?
Yeah.
Sure way to get into trouble.
Yeah. Good. Okay, thank you for that.
Sure. So is Pavel getting a beer?
Probably. Well, I think I'm going to sign off at this point. Yeah. Thanks for chatting and showing off your work, Matthias.
Sure.
Greatly appreciate it. Yep, likewise. Take it easy, Ronnie.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hobby that you
Well, I used to work on a software that so you have this cross-platform user interface, so that makes Einstein look exactly the same no matter if you have Windows, Linux, or macOS running. I haven't worked on that in years, and I saw recently that they got ahead so much that I really don't enter into that anymore. And now the new hobby is getting my kids to repair a VW bug from the 70s so they can learn to drive.
Yes. Okay.
Go from software to mechanical.
Well, if you can do it, my mechanical skills are very, very, very low, so I tend to focus much more on the software side.
Well, it's funny, for my kids are teens, like 15 and 16, and they know everything about iPhones and how to use a touchscreen and how to use the apps and social media and whatnot. But don't ask them to change a tire on a car. There's just, or do anything mechanical. I mean, they never made it beyond Lego.
Right. Are they prepared to learn to program at all?
They have programming as a subject in school. I think it's even mandatory by now. But I don't think they'll ever get into it like I did, and that's a good thing. I'm not complaining about that at all.
Yeah, because I thought they called now short. It's like the series shortcuts or things like that. You can do quite a lot of gluing things together without actually writing code as such. Although the thinking process is very, very similar.
Yeah. Well, there's a joke about programming. If you ask a programmer how long it takes, and you get a reply, double the number and take the next higher time unit. So if a programmer says, "Oh, that only takes a day," then it will take 2 weeks, and so on. And it's
I agree.
Unfortunately very true.
Yeah. Good, you're back, Powell. Oh, he's gone quiet again.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we waited and we wanted to wave you goodbye.
Actually, I came to say I'm going to also. So we can finish.
So when do you think the next one will be held? Is it a month's time, or did you always think every 2 weeks?
I mean, this one is 2 weeks after the first one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, we can. Yeah. I'm at home anyway, so yeah, we can organize in next week, so that will be 27th if you wanna, yeah. To just chat, yeah. But like I said, at this moment I'm at home, so yeah, we can meet here. But later I think we could organize one per month, yeah, to have kind of content. Maybe I'm gonna put the information about the next one, and maybe someone will be able to to share something. I'm happy to see even other people collections or kind of stuff they have. I wish to see more stuff from Matthias, for example, that ROM board and the ROM programmer stuff. Yeah,
But
could be great.
Because Matthias, there was this. Someone's put onto Instagram a way of I think it was an eMate connected to a box, and in that box is a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I saw that.
And to me, that is that's a good model for what's required to add to the Einstein in order. So the Einstein is talking to something relatively simple, but something else is taking care of the interface, the high level interface. Okay, and but that model seems to have already been using Raspberry Pi. It could have been the Arduino, but they chose the Raspberry Pi. Okay, but to me, see that model, that would be a good model for running. I mean, to me, I'd run that as under in a container under Parallels or something like that. It'd be a virtual machine. That would where I wouldn't, because to me, it would be. I wouldn't want it running in the OS X environment or the MoWave. I'd run it as an independent, but I wouldn't want to have a real hard box, which is a virtual Raspberry Pi, effectively, which is what you can do today. So to me, that's quite interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have a look on that, because he may already have virtualized it by then. Although he was trying to use a real cable, wasn't he? So he didn't need to have a physical box. But Einstein and the rest of the environment, it can be a virtual box.
Yeah. Well, what he did was basically what Pavel did with his Bluetooth module. He uses the Raspberry Pi as a port forwarding that takes the serial data from the eMate and sends it on to his own home network. I think that was what the solution.
Right. Well, because his box is running a real operating system, he can do more with that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like we chat, there's a few options there. Yeah. So yeah.
Right. Because the only other way I saw of adding value to the Bluetooth was the was it Eckhart Kerpen's Blunt software?
Yes.
Which is trying to do something, but he stopped the project at a certain point where he couldn't do much with it. Okay. But the idea was quite sound.
Yeah. Now after a years, now we have a more sophisticated devices like that ESP32. It's a tiny piece of electronics, but it's very powerful because you can program it. You can shape it like you want. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not it's very open device. You can do a lot of things with this. Yeah. So we have now much bigger possibilities technically. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I have one question for Matthias. Paul Guillot announced something earlier in the week. Were you able to understand the impact of that potentially?
Yeah, he's back then when the native developer environment was released by Apple. So the ability to program on the Newton in C and assembler code, the C compiler that they published. It's from 1994, so it's very limited in its capabilities, and it even has a C++ compiler, but C++ back then was very different to what C++ is today. and he managed to convince a pretty modern compiler that's also been outdated for 4 years. But he convinced a pretty modern compiler to generate code that runs on the Newton.
Right. Okay. But did he have a particular reason for? Was it just modernizing the C++ support environment, or does he have a particular endpoint in mind?
Yeah, he has a particular idea. When one of the problems with writing C code is, and now it gets a bit technical again, the compiler does not know where the C code will be located within your machine.
Okay.
If you have already 3 apps and there's a little bit of memory where that's available, your C code may end there, but end up there. But if you have 4 apps, it may end up here, and that is sometimes a problem for the C code. And the old compiler has problems dealing with that. It becomes very limited. There's some features you can't use because of that. And one of them is called virtual calls. And virtual calls are one of the very, very basics of C++. And they're missing from the Apple compiler because of this limitation. And he found a way that Apple already implemented on the Newton OS side, but never got to implement on the Apple or on the Apple compiler side to solve exactly that problem. So he can use virtual functions now. And I think he's probably going to rewrite or recompile at least his driver for what are those cards called?
The ATA.
Yeah, the ATA. I think, and I read a long piece that he wrote on the ATA driver software, where this was exactly his problem, and where he bit through with a lot of pain. And I think he feels like he has to relive that pain.
Right, got you. Okay, yeah, sounds like it. Okay, so it's still supporting very much the physical Newton, if you like. And there isn't very much. There's nothing that's going to impact the Einstein side of the house, effectively.
Not anymore that it does the physical Newton, and then an ATA driver for Einstein would not make much sense at all.
No, I agree. And actually getting the cards themselves is...
Well, what you could do, there could be a variation of the ATA driver that writes directly, for example, into XML files. So instead of a soup in an obscure file format that nobody can look at ever, you could instead write into XML files, or you could write to another database and make them more readable. I don't know if that's useful for anyone, but that is at least the theory.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Right, guys.
Thanks,
guys. See you next session.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna put maybe tomorrow kind of email about the third one, so we can be more prepared. But tonight was really good session. So because we managed to chat about interesting stuff today.
Yeah, thanks for organizing it. It was fun.
It's 5 minutes, but it's always to see people and chat about stuff. Right. Okay, so see you next time, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.